Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today on the webinar on the Spanish Golden Visa. I'm just monitoring. There's a few people just entering the room, so bear with me 2 seconds, and then we will get going. So hang on 2 secs. Right. Okay. That looks about right. There might be a few more people joining. We will, by the way, send out a copy of this webinar to everybody afterwards. So if you do run out of time or need to leave, then we'll send you a copy out so you can watch it again if you need to. So as I say, welcome everybody. This is a webinar on the Spanish Golden Visa. And as you all would know, this is a bit of a hot topic at the moment for a number of reasons. One of the main reasons being Portugal, which we will come on to. So what I'll do is I'll do the formalities first, and then I'll talk a little bit about why really the Spanish Golden Visa is one of the main inquiry points that we're getting at the moment. So my name's Sam Daines. I'm a senior wealth manager here at Holborn Assets. Very importantly, I put my phone number, WhatsApp number there on the screen. It's a UK number. I am actually based here in Spain, but do save that number. Keep hold of it. You can WhatsApp or message any personal questions that you may have, because obviously we're talking at not a high level, but we're talking in general. But obviously people will have their own questions. So please save that number. You've also got my email address there, which is sam.daines@holbornassets.com. Make a note of that as well, because obviously you can email me anytime. I've got the emails on my phone as well, so I can always answer individual questions if you think of them, if we don't have time to go through them today. I'll put at the top there my YouTube videos. I've done a couple actually on the Spanish Golden Visa and some on Portugal as well, which I'll come on to. So if you look on YouTube and go to Expat Financial Advice and put Sam Daines in there, you'll see my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that, but I will keep you updated, particularly with Portugal and Spain. It's really what I specialize in. And you've also got a QR code. I might attempt to sort of move a little bit with technology. You can scan that code there, and theoretically that will allow you to book directly into my diary. We offer free consultations. It doesn't cost you a penny, and we can go through your individual situation if you are looking to the Spanish Golden Visa and you want to go into more detail. But obviously we'll cover a lot of that today. My bookings are starting from next year now, because I'm only in the office next week and then we break up for the holidays. We are really busy at the moment. There's a lot of interest around the Spanish Golden Visa. So you can scan that QR code. But if you want advice or there's something urgent before then, please feel free to email or WhatsApp me. And I can speak earlier. I can try to squeeze you in as well. So talking about the Spanish Golden Visa and why it is such a hot topic at the moment. A lot of that has come down to the changes to the Portugal Golden Visa scheme, as you may or may not know. So the Portugal Golden Visa scheme was really the main route for people looking for EU residency. And the reason for that is it had the lowest entry point. So for 280,000 invested into property, anywhere in Portugal, you were able to get a Portuguese Golden Visa and actually get a Portuguese passport within 5 years. So that was all brilliant. But then over the last year or two, that gradually got changed. So the 280,000 became 280,000 in certain areas in property. Then it became a more expensive 500,000, and then they've actually withdrawn it altogether. So the Portugal Golden Visa for property, you can't obtain it. So you now have to invest within an investment fund, but property isn't an option. But obviously, property is a really good part of an investment portfolio, and people like property. So it's made Portugal less popular. And not only that, Portugal has actually withdrawn their NHR scheme, which is a tax scheme if you're not familiar with it, but it made a lot of people go to Portugal. The non-habitual residency scheme was a real preferential tax treatment for new people moving to Portugal. But that has been announced earlier, was it last month? Yeah, it would be last month, sorry, November, that is being withdrawn as well as of next year. So if you've not already registered by the end of this year or shown that you're moving by the end of this year, then it's phased out. So what that's meant is Spain has become incredibly popular. So the Spanish Golden Visa scheme now is very attractive because property still remains an important part of the Spanish Golden Visa. And there are a few little caveats, a few little points to the Spanish Golden Visa scheme, which make it very interesting and very popular for people looking at EU residency, which we will touch on today. So with no further ado, I will just go through what we'll talk about today. If you've watched some of my other presentations, there's some similarities here, but I've tried to cover a little bit of new ground as well. So the agenda, firstly, I will talk about Holborn Assets and Holborn Pass. So I work for Holborn Assets, and we are an investment firm, a wealth management firm. And we have Holborn Pass, which is part of Holborn Assets, and that concentrates on citizenship and residency programs, not just for Spain. We do Portugal, we do America, Dubai, Greece, Malta. We do all the different residency and citizenship programs around the world. I live in Spain, so I concentrate on the Spanish Golden Visa program, which really is becoming the most popular route, as I say, to EU residency. We'll talk a bit about residency by investment, so what that actually means, because there are residency programs and there are also citizenship programs as well. So they're slightly different. A residency program, you become a resident of a place. With regards to being a citizen, that means you become effectively a passport holder, as if you were born in that country, and I'll touch upon that. We'll talk about the Spain Golden Visa program, the process and the benefits of it. The Spanish Golden Visa program has many benefits, and the process of it can be a little bit, well, not complicated, but you need to understand how it would work if you are looking to do that. We'll go through a few real estate options that we have, because we are essentially a one-stop shop for people looking to get their golden visa within Spain. So what we do is we do everything from identifying potential, well, opportunities where you can get a golden visa. We do all the solicitors. Well, I'll come on to this, but we effectively do the whole process for you to make it really, really easy. And then at the end, we do questions and answers. I've been sent in a number of questions already, so there are a fair few there. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to put them on the chat, and I'll try to answer them. If we don't get time, then obviously just send an email through to me, because as I say, I know there'll be specific questions. I really don't mind anyone sending anything to me directly. Okay, so a little bit about Holborn Assets and Holborn Pass. So as I say, at Holborn Assets, we are a global wealth management firm. So for us, the most important thing really is to give people sound financial advice. So we look at investment opportunities that are the best for our clients. And that's really how we started, but even before we started doing the Golden Visa scheme. So we were established back in 1998. So that's what, around 25 years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago. So we've been going a long time. We're a British family firm. We've got 20 international offices and over 500 employees scattered around the world. So 20 international offices. So I work from our Spanish office, which is down the south of Spain in the Malaga region. It's actually in a place called Porto Banús, if anyone's familiar with Spain. So it's about 25 minutes from where I live here. We've got around 20,000 clients worldwide. And the reason I say, and I'm talking a little bit about this, is it's really important to understand that as part of our business, because we've been doing investments, and this could be anything from people looking at their pensions, for their investments, insurances, mortgages, we do the whole lot. It became very apparent that there was a real need for people looking for global mobility, being able to move around Europe and other continents as well, in a way that is very flexible, but also having good investment options. And that's really why we came on to do Holborn Pass. Before I go on to that, though, just a little bit about me. I moved over here to Spain around 6 years ago. I live in a place called Grande, again down the south of Spain. So it's between Marbella and Gibraltar. It's probably the best way to put it. So it's a really nice place. I've lived here about 6 years, so I've been through the system. I'm very aware of how difficult it can be and how it all works. Okay, so it sort of, I suppose, it allows me to have a lot of empathy with people going through the same thing. So yeah, I've been here 6 years. I love it here. It's a fantastic place to live. Obviously, it's the reason a lot of people are tuning in today. It really is. It's a lovely sort of lovely pace of life here. We've won numerous industry awards here at Holborn Assets. As I said, I've worked for the company now for 4 years. So for a long time, and as I say, it's a great company to work for. We really do try to put the customers first in terms of, if you look at our Trustpilot reviews, we have an excellent review on Trustpilot. We win lots of investment awards as well. So anyway, going back to the point here, we started Holborn Pass around 6 years ago, and the idea of that, as I say before, there was a lot of people looking for investments, good solid investments, which also gave them the benefit of mobility and EU, particularly EU residency. So for us, investment on this is always the priority. You know, we're prioritizing the investments to get our clients the residency and the golden visas. As a company, we processed over 1,000 applications for golden visas. Now, a lot of these have been for Portugal, because Portugal before now has been by far the most popular program. But now, as I say, we're seeing a real surge in interest in Spain. As I say, it's a lot because of NHR actually being removed, and a lot because of the entry point for Portugal. But last year or this year, should I say, and last year we did the most golden visas of any other company, and processed them, and we have 100% success rate. So we know what it takes to get a golden visa application through, and often they can be quite complicated if, for example, you're looking to add on spouses or parents, or children. There's a number of different things that can make it difficult. So we know how to overcome that. So that's a little bit about us and who we are. So in terms of the service we provide, okay, and there's quite a lot on this slide, but just it's trying to give you an overview of what we do for our clients, not just in Spain, but this doesn't matter whether it's Portugal or what golden visa program it is. So we offer a full service from the beginning to the end of the process. So what that involves is we prepare all the residence permit applications. We submit all of these. So we check everything to make sure it's sent off and it's correct before it is sent off. Anyone that's lived in Spain will know if you do just something slightly wrong, it will come right back at you and you have to start again from the beginning. And I've seen this happen numerous times to myself and to other people. Family and friends as well. It could be really frustrating. We'll advise you about real estate opportunities as well. So with regards to Spanish, we concentrate a lot on commercial real estate opportunities because from a tax perspective, it's a lot cheaper than residential opportunities. With Portugal, it's not the case, but with Spain, it is. Real estate opportunities, traditional buying a house can be very expensive in terms of tax. Commercial opportunities can be cheaper, but obviously I'll talk a little bit more about that. Anything that we look at, we do all the due diligence on that, on the projects and on the developers. As I say, we've got a very long history. We're able to negotiate very good costs of any opportunities that we have for the real estate. So you're getting, as I say before, a good investment, because investment first and foremost is a priority. We're obviously review all the property records of the properties that we're recommending. We prepare all the sales agreements between the owner and the developer. We're present at the Public Deeds Office on your behalf to do the property record transfer. At a later point, anybody looking for a golden visa will have to submit fingerprints and official photographs at government facilities. We actually accompany you along for that. I know when I had to do mine, I mean, I didn't speak much Spanish at the time. I still don't speak as much as I should, but I do know there's a huge sort of language barrier, and quite rightly sometimes when you are trying to sort this out, that the people you speak to in Spain won't be speaking English, they will be speaking Spanish, and they will expect you to understand what they're saying and to fill in the forms correctly, and that's what we can help you with as well. Opening a Spanish bank account, you do really need to open a Spanish bank account if you're going to get a golden visa. We can facilitate that for you remotely as well. You don't actually have to come over to do that. So we get that sorted for our clients. We get you a personal tax number as well, and we'll assist with your local tax representative. And we'll get your residence permit approved. We can collect your residency card and deliver them to you as well. And this is really important. We submit for our clients, we will submit your annual tax return on your behalf. So if you buy a particular property, for example, a commercial property or whatever property it may be, you need to submit annual tax returns. Now, a lot of people don't want to be doing that yourself. It can be very complicated. We do it as part of the process. So it's part of the package that we offer. We will submit them annual tax returns on your behalf. So we solve all the property problems that you have. We make sure you get your rental income. You make sure that the property is occupied. So we do all of that. And if at the end of 10 years, and sometimes in some cases 2 years, you want to become a citizen of Spain, we will submit and do all the application for you as well. So the whole point of these slides is just trying to tell you what we do as a company for people and for clients using us to for their investment and for the process. Now I've added in this slide here, and it is a bit busy. Now this is whether you're using us to get your golden visa or not. And it's just trying to explain really how the timeline works with regards to Spain. Okay. And it is important to really understand this. So, for example, if today you thought, yes, I'm going to go ahead and I've found the property I want, and let's say you're using us to do all of this. Once you've signed everything, it normally takes, you've got to go through a number of processes in terms of obtaining your NIE. You've got to open the validated bank account, and then eventually you're going to have to transfer your funds to buy whatever the property it is, and obviously then get the deeds for the property. Now that normally takes around 3 months. So I'm sort of at this point here, if you can see the cursor. So that normally takes around 3 months to actually then get a property purchased, get the deeds for that property, get everything in place that you need then to apply for your golden visa. So that would normally take around 3 months. It can be quicker, it can take longer. It depends really on the clients for us, because sometimes if you're slow sending things back, it can take longer. Sometimes the Spanish system can be a little bit slow because there's lots of public holidays here. There was one yesterday, there's actually one tomorrow as well. So it can take a little bit longer. But once you've got the deeds for the holding assets, so the property as a real estate, once you actually have them deeds, we can then submit the application for the golden visa. Okay, at this point. Now, from submitting the golden visa application, which we would do for our clients, within 21 days, you would get the golden visa issued. So you would get a visa stamped on your passport that allows you at that point to live, to work and study and travel throughout the Schengen area. Well, you would have that within 3 to 4 months. That, I'd say at this point, is a hell of a lot quicker than Portugal and other golden visa schemes. It's incredibly quick, the way Spain do it. So that 21 days is what it would take once you've got that asset in place that qualifies you for the golden visa. Following that, there's then a further process with regards to doing biometrics. That's the point you would have to come over here, because you would need to submit your biometrics. As I say, we would accompany anybody doing that. And then eventually, after we've done all the other bits, so I won't go into too much detail about this, we can talk it individually for you. But after around month 6, month 7, you would actually have the actual physical residency card that looks like that at the bottom, okay, which is what I hold. It's just a basic card, has all your details on there. You've got your TIE, basically your tax number, and that's everything that you need. And that's then valid for a 3-year period, initial 3-year period, and then you renew it every 5 years. So that is just a timeline. I don't want to talk too long about that, but just get it in your mind. Really, you could have the golden visa within 3 to 4 months from starting the process. Okay, right. Talk a little bit about citizenship and residency by investment and what that actually means. So the idea of this, citizenship and residency by investment, is very much what it says. That the idea is you would invest some money to a foreign country, in this case, Spain, and that can be through real estate, through donations, through business, through funds, or through bonds. And in turn, that would give you a residency or citizenship. Now, residency effectively gives you the rights of a resident. So in Spanish case, in the case of Spain, that's the right to live and to work in Spain, to be part of the healthcare system. I'll come on to this. But it's not a passport as such. It's your residency card. It gives you a lot of the same rights that you would want to have. But a citizenship is a little bit more of a tie to a country. So basically, it's having a passport for the country. So there are citizenship by investment programs. They tend to be outside of Europe. However, with regards to Spain, for example, once you become a resident for a period of time, you can actually convert that to becoming a citizen. So in Spain's case, in some cases it's 2 years, and in some cases it's 10 years. With Portugal, by the way, it's 5 years, which does make it, popular. But as I say, that's the difference between residency and citizenship. And I will cover the two, what they mean for in the case of Spain in a later slide, but just to sort of help you understand that. This is a bit of a busy slide, but this is all the different programs that we do here at Holborn Pass, and it's sort of a breakdown of a bit of information here of each program. Now, to the left, these are citizenship programs here. So these are, you've got Antigua, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts, Vanuatu, Malta, and Turkey. So basically, after a certain period of time, you are then given a passport for that country. But obviously, I mean, it might be in some cases, but generally they're not as desirable maybe as becoming an EU passport holder. So a lot of these you can do for less money and you'll get your passport quickly. But obviously a lot of people may prefer the passport of where they're from at the moment. With regards to residency programs, the ones we look at are Malta, Portugal, Greece, the USA, Spain, and the UAE. And I'll concentrate here on Spain. So with regards to Spain, you apply to get your golden visa and you effectively become a resident of Spain. Okay. Now, you can become a citizen of Spain, as I mentioned before, a passport holder in 10 years. So after 10 years, you can change that residency and become a passport holder of Spain. You can actually do it in 2 years if you have ex-Spanish colony backgrounds. If you have a passport, for example, you're from Mexico, a Mexico passport, you're from an ex-Spanish colony, you can actually get a passport within only 2 years. You do have to live in Spain more than 6 months of them 2 years. But it's a very unique niche to Spain because that is the quickest way that you can get a passport in any European country would be if you have got that background, and not just you. That's also your spouses, your children, whoever you tag onto your application. Just to compare with Portugal, and I keep doing this because Portugal is, one of the most popular ones other than Spain. With Portugal, one of the advantages, you can get the passport within 5 years, and this is what sort of always made Portugal popular, as well as the lower entry point. But the minimum investment option in Portugal now is 500,000. With Spain, it's 500,000, but you can do real estate and not just funds. And, which I will come on to, we actually have a special, unique offering where you can actually do it for as little as 350,000. Whereas the entry point is still 500,000, but what we can do is we can look at certain assets where we can get the rental income paid up front and combine that with your investment, and that will give you the 500,000. You have to hold that for a certain amount of time. It's not without some restrictions, but we can actually do it for less than 500,000, for 350,000. What you can also do, which we will come on to, I won't talk too long, it's a very busy slide here, but what we can also do is tag on your children up to the age of 18 here. You can tag on dependent parents. We have to prove that they're dependent, relatively easy to do, but dependent parents onto there as well. And obviously your spouses as well. So we can do this all as one application, and we can fiddle around really with who's going to be the main applicant, depending on what would suit the process better. But everybody would get the golden visa. Everybody would have the right to live and to work into the country, and also for schooling, all that sort of thing. So to bear that in mind as well. But again, anybody interested in the other programs, we do that. So talking about why Spain, and obviously people have their own reasons as to why you'd want to live here, but it is ranked number one country worldwide for quality of life. And as I say, I testify for that. I moved over from the UK, as I say, around 6 years ago, and the lifestyle in Spain is very, very laid back. It's everything's mañana, do it tomorrow. There's lots of holidays. It's just a nice lifestyle. The weather is fantastic. The location is fantastic because obviously we've got Portugal. We can drive from where I am here to Portugal in about 4 hours via Seville. It's a really nice drive. Obviously, if you're ever the other end of Spain, you can go to France and drive over the borders really easily as well. There's no customs, if you like. You just literally just drive across. It's the second most visited country by international tourists. I think most people have been to Spain on holiday. A lot to do with the weather, but also fantastic beaches, obviously. It's got the fourth biggest economy in the EU and 14th in the world. It's important, this, because people do ask me, what's the situation like with jobs, with various other economical factors. And actually, it's really strong here in Spain. You've really noticed it. Obviously, there was a recession here along with everywhere else in Europe, but it's really picked up and it's very strong now. You really notice a lot of places opening and a lot of businesses moving here as well. Voted the fifth best country to live in. I don't know why that's not first, but it's apparently the fifth best country to live in. Sixth best retirement destination, as voted for in the annual Global Retirement Index. And it's got the seventh best public healthcare system in the world. And again, I speak, my wife, her parents live over here. We've had to use the healthcare system for various things, and it's been absolutely brilliant. It really is very, very good. It's on the par. I mean, I come from the UK. It's really on the par with the UK. Obviously, there's private healthcare as well. But yeah, it's in terms of the actual economy and the healthcare system, it's fantastic. So whether you're coming here to work or you're retiring here, it's a really, really good destination to be in. So, a little bit about the Spanish Golden Visa. It actually started in 2013. So, it's been going now 10 years. Now, this is the bit I'm going to throw a little bit of not doom, but a little bit of something to be aware of. And I'm sure a lot of people will be aware of this. We go a lot on what's happened with Portugal and what we're reading and kind of hearing whispers of it in Spain is that the likelihood is, well, I don't think it's likelihood, I think it's a certainty, but when it is, we don't know. The likelihood is that Spain may withdraw the Golden Visa scheme for property, similar to what Portugal have done. Obviously, they're neighbours. They tend to not always follow suit, but they follow suit a lot. And the reason that this is the case was a number of reasons. Is that in Portugal, the main reason that they withdrew the Golden Visa scheme was the effect on house prices. You know, there's inflated house prices, so that citizens of Portugal are finding it hard to get on the housing ladder because a lot of foreign investments coming in, and that's driving up house prices. That's the theory. In reality, I don't think that's the only reason that house prices go up, but it's certainly as a government point of view, it's something they feel may be a contributing factor. Now, the same thing's happening in Spain. House prices are going up. New governments come in. They've already mentioned back in May, it was put to them by another party that the Golden Visa program should be reviewed, and that the likelihood of that would be that property would be removed. It would work well for any new government, and a new government has come in, and it would work well for them to look like they're making an effort to curb house prices. And that's one way that they would do it. So for anybody looking to do the Golden Visa program, don't leave it. And I'll come on to why that is particularly good for Spain, because Spain has a few rules that really help people to be able to do this sooner rather than later. And I will come on to the reason for that. But just be mindful of this. We do feel that it will follow Portugal. So over 9,000 Golden Visa applications have been approved in Spain, and that's raised over 3.5 billion from foreign direct investment. So as far as Spain goes, it's raised a hell of a lot of money for them. So it's been a really, really good scheme. Obviously, they're going to carry on trying to generate money into here, but obviously they don't want to do it at the detriment of the people living in the country and for their own citizens. But this is the key point that I was talking about. In order to get the Spanish Golden Visa, you do not need to spend any time in Spain. So in fact, even before you get your residency card, you get your Golden Visa, other than coming over here to do your biometrics, there is no need to spend any time in Spain to keep your residency. There's no minimum stay requirements. So for anybody looking to potentially do this, you can actually get an asset now. You can hold that asset. You don't even have to, even if you're not planning to move for 2 or 3 years, you can actually hold that asset. Again, well, commercial assets can be really good, which I'll come on to. You just hold that asset. And actually, when you come to the time you want to move over here and live over here, then fine. If it's a commercial asset, you can sell it and we can, replace it with a residential asset, whatever. But if you do it now, you don't have to come over here and you could qualify for the Golden Visa. So it's really worth bearing that in mind, because there is no other Golden Visa scheme that will allow you to not spend any time in the country to have the residency, which is again another really reason that Spain is really popular. Any non-EU citizen can apply, so anybody can apply. If you are an EU citizen, there's not much point of you getting the Golden Visa anyway. So, but anyone that's non-EU citizens can apply. The caveat is you don't have a criminal record. In reality, if it's a minor criminal record and it didn't result in a prison sentence as classified over here in Spain, then there's still ways of getting that through. And then, as I say, you can include your spouse, your children, and your parents onto your application. We know how to do that and how to do that effectively. As I say, it's a reason to use companies like ourselves, because it can be a bit of a paperwork minefield of getting this right. And as I say, sometimes who you put as the lead applicant can really affect how quickly you can get this processed. As I say, we could talk about that on an individual basis if people are interested. So the benefits of the Golden Visa scheme, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but this gives you the right to live and work in Spain. So similar to me, I'm from the UK, I live and I work in Spain. I travel around Europe. As I say, I go to our Portugal office very often here. It's a 4-hour drive. But I live and work here, and I'm able to travel freely, visa-free, around all the 26 Schengen countries. So as I say, it's so nice, obviously, being here in Europe. You drive across to Portugal one way, you go to France the other way, you drive across the borders. There's no visas or anything like that. You have free travel amongst these Schengen countries. You can actually establish a business in all of the Schengen countries once you've got the golden visa. I won't go into tax. We're not tax advisors specifically, but we can help with this. We actually have in-house tax advisors with our Spanish property team that could help you with this. But there are certain exemptions you get with regards to expats in Spain, and that depends whether you're going to be tax resident or just resident. There's two different things. So you can be a resident of Spain, but not live in Spain. You could be, for example, living in America. If you're spending all your time in America, you're not tax resident in Spain. So you can have, again, it can affect what tax you pay, put it that way. But we do have an in-house tax advisor that if people are using us to, for the process, then we can put you in front of them as well. But there are certain benefits you can get with regards to taxation. People might be familiar with the Beckham law, where David Beckham came over here and successfully won a case which allowed certain exemption, which can really benefit. So again, it's something we can sort of help with. And you get access to the world-class healthcare, as I mentioned before, and also schools. And obviously, if you bring your children over here as part of the application, put them on there, you all get the rights to live, to work, to the healthcare, to the pensions, and to the schools as well. So it's as if it's as if you're a citizen here for all intents and purposes. Just a few facts and myths about the Spanish Golden Visa, in case I put this in because a lot of people, they sort of say things about it, and I don't know where that came from. So I thought I'd just clear everything up. I've answered some of these already. First of all, you have to spend time in Spain to maintain residency. No, not at all. There is no minimum stay requirements in Spain. Once you have your visa, you can come and go as you wish, and you don't have to come over here at all. If for example, it's Portugal, you've got to do 2 weeks, I think, every 2 years. And in order to get your passport, you have to do a little bit more. But anyway, with Spain, you don't have to spend any time here. Only residential real estate qualifies. No, any type of real estate qualifies. So that can be commercial, residential, parking spaces. Any real estate will qualify for the golden visa. You need to be 500,000. And that will get you the golden visa. Can't be mortgaged. If anyone's asking, it's not for mortgage properties. It has to be bought outright. But you don't have to just buy one property of at least 500,000. You can buy as many as you want that add up to 500,000. Okay, so that's very important. So not one property, you can buy a number of them. As I say, we favor, and I'll keep saying this, but we favor commercial properties. As I say, because we're an investment company looking what is best for our clients. Initially, commercial properties are really good because they have a lot less ongoing costs and a lot less tax. So as a starting point for the golden visa, commercial properties tend to be really good, which I'll come on to. There are limitations in where you can invest. Not at all. You can invest anywhere in Spain, and that includes the Balearic and the Canary Islands as well. So you can have properties wherever you want them to be. The process is long and vague. Not at all. As I say, once you've got that holding asset, then you can actually get your EU residency within your golden visa with 21 days of submission. As I say, bear in mind, in Spain, there are a lot of holidays. They shut down pretty much in August. So it can take a little bit longer, but give or take 21 days is accurate. The Spanish program is expensive, not at all. So aside from the investment itself, the actual ongoing cost in terms of renewing your residency card and getting your tax number, it's really low and a lot lower than other EU countries such as Portugal. A lot less. And I have to live in Spain for 10 years to qualify, excuse me, for citizenship. So, as I mentioned before, former Spanish colonies can obtain their citizenship within 2 years. And I'll mention on the next slide, I believe, what constitutes an Spanish colony, because there are lots of them if you know your history. And I'll go through what colonies they are, but that just only has to have one applicant as part of your application. So for both spouses, only one of you needs to have the ex-Spanish colony. So it's 10 years normally, 2 years of your ex-Spanish colony. And in fact, let me go through this on here. So the Spanish passport. So this is Spanish citizenship. Okay. So if you are ex-Spanish colony, you can, and the ex-Spanish colonies are here. It's Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Equatorial Guinea, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, the Philippines, Uruguay, and Venezuela. And in addition, actually, you've got Andorra and Portugal. But if you're from Andorra and Portugal, you wouldn't really need the golden visa or the passport because you'd already have an EU passport. So anybody that has a connection from one of those countries, it's really, really good scheme. What you need to remember, if you wanted your passport, not just to be a resident, you would have to, in those 2 years, if you're ex-Spanish colony, stay more than 6 months in the country. So effectively to be tax resident. If you're more than 6 months, you'd be tax resident. So you need to do that for the 2 years. If you want your Spanish passport and you're not ex-Spanish colony, then the last 5 years you're here, you'd have to spend over half the year in Spain. That's only if you want your passport. A lot of people don't necessarily want the passport, but you would have to spend the last 5 years more than half a year in Spain. It obviously proves to Spain that you want to be here, that you have a commitment to the country. The requirements to get a passport, if you want to turn your residency into a passport, into citizenship, you need to do a language level test, which is relatively basic. It's similar for a lot of EU countries. And if you have lived here for the period of time, you should really know that basic language. And also culture exam as well. Similar reason. If you've been here for a while, you should know a little bit about the culture. And this is a bit I said before. Live in Spain for 2 years if you're ex-Spanish colony, or 5 years if you're not. Now, the benefits of getting the passport is it's actually one of the third best, well, it is the third best passport in the world, along with a couple of other countries. So it gives you complete, it's recognized as being a very, very strong passport. In terms of, do you have to rescind? People always say, well, do I have to get rid of the passport I've got at the moment? Not always. It depends on the country, but normally what they do is when you are granted your passport, effectively they say, make sure you destroy any other passport you have. But in reality, they don't collect it off you. They don't check it. It would then be up to you to decide what to do. But in reality, people keep both their passports. Simply, if you're traveling around the EU, you would use your EU one. If you're traveling around anywhere else, you'd use your other passport, and that's the way to work it. But you don't, literally have to throw your other passport away. We can talk you through that as well. But having the passport allows you to travel to 190 countries visa free, which is fantastic. So you can live and you can work and you can move around, and it's just complete flexibility. So as I say, live and work anywhere in the EU. So ultimately, for some people, that's the goal. For other people, they don't need it. They're quite happy just to be a resident as well. And just going back to that, by the way, to become a resident, people sometimes, you can become a permanent resident of Spain when you've lived here for 5 years. If you lived here for 5 years, you can change over your golden visa to become a permanent resident. But there's not always an advantage of doing that. It's good. It's potentially good to do that because you can then get rid of your 500,000 investment, or 350,000 investment if you do the cheaper option. But the downside of that, in order to maintain your residency, you then have to spend most of your time in the country, so it can be a bit more restrictive. Whilst if you've got a golden visa, you can come and go as you like. But again, we can go into detail about that. But just to sort of give you an idea about that. So in terms of investment options to get the golden visa, I mentioned before, these are the different ways you can get your golden visa. So number one, you invest 500,000 euros into real estate. As I mentioned before, which I'll come on to, we can do it for less, and it can help some people. The idea of doing it for less was really to make it more in line with what Portugal's golden visa was like for people looking at Spain. But 500,000 to real estate is the amount you're looking at. You can do equity in a business for 1 million. Obviously, it's a less popular route, and there's a few other what type of business there is. A few restrictions on that as well. Bank deposit or investment fund 1 million. So again, that's quite a lot of money for a lot of people. Or government bonds for 2 million, which obviously is the most least popular route. So by far the most popular way of doing this is 500,000 invested into real estate. And real estate, as I say before, is a really good way anyway of diversifying a portfolio. So a lot of people have got to look at this actually as an investment, which actually allows you to travel around Europe and gives you an additional benefit, and is a good investment as well. So this is what we do, and after I'll just go through this, and then we'll go on to the questions that we had. But I just want to make this very clear because it is a bit confusing, this slide. But I just want to explain these are the three different ways you can do investments and what we do as well. But on the left-hand side here is commercial and commercial asset, and on the right-hand side is a residential asset. Okay. Now, the advantages of a commercial asset, and make this sort of very clear, is there are in Spain. So if we were looking in Portugal, it's very different. We look at residential because residential is the better option and the taxes are similar, if not slightly less. In Spain, it's not. A commercial asset has lower transfer taxes, typically 1.5 to 2.5%. Also, when you have a long-term lease on a commercial asset, the tenants, the people in the commercial asset, cover most of the expenses. So the ongoing costs are a lot less. The average rental yield of a commercial property normally is between 4 and actually up to 6%. It says 5% there, but it could be up to 6%. So you've got a higher yield. Now, in terms of what that means monetary, and point number one here, that residential taxes are typically between 8 to 11% on a residential property. So basically, it's up to around 40,000 euros or around 40,000 euros cheaper buying a commercial asset on the 500,000 investment. So you're saving a lot of money if you're looking at commercial. Okay, commercial also has the higher rental yield. So as I say, you're looking at 4 to 5% compared to if it's a residential property that you're renting out. Typically, you're going to get around 2 to 3% when you sort of cover the costs and everything else. Particularly if you're going to Airbnb and do things like that, there's quite high taxes in Spain for that sort of thing. So you're really very mindful of that. Commercial is what we look at is for commercial opportunities, which we focus on. We look at them as basically being a compliance asset. They're just something that you hold that can give you an income that you don't need to worry about. You don't need to manage or do anything. You just leave it. And really, it turns out to be it's an investment decision. It's basically an emotional decision. So I know when I moved over here to Spain, you need to know that when you get to the point you're going to buy a residential property or residential asset, you really need to know that's the asset you're going to keep. So it's absolutely fine going and spending 500,000 if you know you're going to live there and you know where you want to be, because you don't mind them paying the higher taxes because that's where you want to live. If you're really not sure, then the best thing to do is look at something that's commercial, something that can give you an income, can save you money on the taxes. And actually, if you're going to move over here at a later point, or even if you've moved over here, you can then scout around. You can use the rental income you're getting, which is double the amount of the residential income, to actually rent properties and then decide where you want to live and then sell the commercial asset, which we would do for anybody using us very quickly, very effectively, and then use that money to buy your residential asset. And at that point, you might be paying higher taxes. But the commercial asset is by far the more logical option in terms of costs and in terms of income. Now, in the middle bit here, we're just explaining what we did. It's on the next slide as well. We've introduced a 350,000 sale and leaseback option. And the idea of this, the 500,000 option is brilliant because that's what gives you the higher rental yield. But we tried to put something together to help people that had maybe less disposable income at this point, and may not be moving over here for quite a period of time, but wanted to do it for less money. And the idea of this is that you still need 500,000, but the client themselves will pay 350,000, and 150,000 will essentially be paid as the equivalent of 3% rental income up front for 10 years. So you're given immediately the 150,000, that combines with the 350,000, and that gives you the 500,000 that you need to invest. And you have full property management. So all the taxes are done for you. You don't need to worry whether it's tenanted or not. That's all done for you. You just forget about it and you have that asset. At the end of the 10 years, you get a guaranteed buyback option as well for the asset. So, and I'll come on to that. But again, it gives you a bit of, you don't need to worry if there's been a dip in house prices or commercial property prices, because there is actually a guaranteed buyback. But these are the two we look at. We also can do residential. But as I say, with residential, it's simply you need 500,000, but you need to be aware of the taxes on that. The 350, just going into a bit more detail about this, because I know a lot of people are interested in this particular option, but the steps of this would be, as I say, it's 500,000 investment. We identify these investment opportunities. They're normally in Barcelona and Madrid because there's lots of really good investment opportunities there. We look at, tends to be distressed businesses that we can get a really good value for our clients. So that's Barcelona and Madrid. Taxes are lower as well because in Spain, you're taxed according to the region that you're in. So taxes can vary greatly. So Barcelona and Madrid are our preferred options. So 150,000 is paid up front, which is the equivalent to 3% for 10 years. It's immediately paid. And the total investment is 350,000 for clients, plus the cost. There are obviously legal costs and taxes, but you're looking around 350,000. And then you get your golden visa after, as I say, around 3 months from the start of that process. We do it all for our clients. And normally the investments we're looking at are catering, retail, offices, all that sort of thing. We would go through them with you. You choose which one you think's best, but for all intents and purposes, we would manage it and look after it for you. So you can see there, they're the sort of investments we would get. And then after 10 years, we offer three options on people. Look, this is for the 350,000 option. Obviously, we have 500,000 options, but for the 350,000, after 10 years, is a guaranteed buyback. So it doesn't matter what's happened with house prices. After 10 years, we guarantee to give you your money back. So it alleviates any worry that you'll lose any of the money you invested. In reality, your best option would be option two, which you can actually sell to the market at a going rate after 10 years. So after 10 years, you sell it at a going rate, and therefore, you're likely over a period of that 10 years, your investment value of the commercial property would have gone up considerably. So you'd sell it and you sell it at the market rate. But obviously, you've got that nice reassurance that if you can't do that, you've got a guaranteed buyback. Or option three is after the 10 years, you just maintain ownership of the asset and you just carry on collecting the rent and keep it, which is another option. So they're the three options. Obviously, for some people, you don't want to keep it 10 years. You can get out of it early, and it's normally from year 5 onwards. We could look earlier, but normally it's for year 5 onwards. And again, there is a guaranteed amount that we would pay, but that's obviously because you've been paid 150,000 up front. We've got to then work out exactly what you've been given and what we need to get back, because effectively it's like having not credit agreement, but you're being paid credit up front. So there are sort of guaranteed buybacks. We can go into this in a lot more detail for people that are interested. But as I say, this scheme was introduced really to help people, at a lower entry point. I always think if you can afford it, the 500,000 commercial options are fantastic, because with regards to these, this is an example of one we did. They change all the time. We have a list of ones that we've done the due diligence that we like, and they change all the time because obviously we have clients using this all the time for this. But this is an example of one. This was for 600,000. It was a restaurant in Madrid. And the rent on it, which we collect and pay to our clients, was 3,050. So that is given as a passive income. At any time you can liquidate this, so you can keep it. Let's say you were in America, you can get an asset like this, you can get paid this rental income. When you decide to come and live over here, let's say in 2, 3, 4 years' time, you can effectively decide where you want to live, carry on getting this income. At the point you decided what you want to do, we liquidate this, sell this, which we do all for you, and then obviously you can use the money then. It has to go literally hand in hand on the same day, but that money can then be used to purchase another holding asset. Also, it's really important, I will say at this point, we've talked about the Golden Visa scheme probably being withdrawn for property, maybe even next year. We don't know. From our experience of doing Portugal, anybody that's still applied for the scheme, even if it's being withdrawn, if you've already started the process, the likelihood it will be honoured. They're not going to. They will stop it. They will phase it out like they did with Portugal. I think it was January or February they announced it was going, and it didn't actually stop until we were still doing cases up until around September. So once you're in the system and you've got to a certain point, because it has to go through, even when they announce it, it's going to have to go through a number of different legalities and different hoops, if you like. If you're already in the process and it'd be honoured. If anybody uses us as well, if it doesn't go, as I say, we've got a 100% success rate, but if anything didn't go through, then there'd be nothing lost because we would refund anyway. But if anybody interested, please bear in mind it's that not having to stay here, so not having any minimum stay requirements, allows you to start the process if you're interested as soon as you want. As I say, we've had murmurings it's going to be withdrawn. I still think you're going to hear something next year about this, but be mindful of that. So questions and answers, and I've got a number of questions here. So just check the time. Okay, so we've got about 5-10 minutes. So let me answer the questions I've got, and as best I can. And as I say, you've got a QR code there. You've also got my email and my telephone number. So please drop me a line, book in. As I say, it's normally for the new year now because of the holidays coming up. But if anything's urgent, obviously I can pick up people sooner if needs be. So the questions I've got here, first of all, what is the experience for people moving from digital nomad visa to the golden visa? Well, the digital nomad visa is relatively new, so we haven't had huge amount of experience with it. But sort of spoke to the team, and the ones we've done so far is relatively straightforward. So we've got an in-house team, effectively, if you're using us for your investment property, that can effectively facilitate the whole process for you. So for changing it over, the process is largely the same. You basically need to have your 500,000 assets, and then you can apply. As I say, it's typically 3 months to get your golden visa, but for all intents and purposes, it would be the same process that you would go through. But as I say, we can do all that for you. If you're looking at some commercial asset, you want to use us, then we can actually do that process for you and get that changed over. But it's straightforward. If anything, it's a more straightforward process if you've got the digital nomad visa. Um, Okay, Spanish residency, Spain income taxes, taxes on residence, healthcare for golden visa applicants. Okay, so we're not specifically tax advisors, but we have in-house tax advisors that we use. So we use our Spanish commercial team as an in-house tax advisor, because obviously it's a big part of people's decision. So if people are going to use us, we can tap into their knowledge. So in terms of the healthcare, sorry, in the other question there, yeah, you can use the healthcare system here in Spain. You can, same as any Spanish citizen, I'm part of the healthcare system here. You can also set up private healthcare as well yourself. Private healthcare here can be expensive, actually, but there's loads of different providers here. So it's making sure I can actually advise people and help people with regards to that. So yeah, so really good healthcare scheme as well. Finances in Spain. Finances in Spain, right? I think this is around how to do financial planning in Spain. We as a company are financial planners. So me myself, I'm a qualified financial advisor. So anybody moving to Spain, in terms of any assets, when you come over to that, we can actually advise you on that and make sure everything's Spanish compliant. So that's all done in-house by us as well. Okay, if golden visa is cancelled and time is of the essence, do you have to wait for title deeds, or would receipt that it's been filed be okay? Right, so the likelihood is, if it's the same as Portugal, as I mentioned before, it would mean that any applications submitted would be honoured. You would have a date that you have to get them in by, and as long as it's in there and it's being processed by that date, it would be honoured. Yeah. So as I say, we were doing it up to the last moment in Portugal, really up to the last moment, and we were able to get stuff through really, really quickly. But obviously, the longer you've got to do this, the better. Next one: do partners, not married spouses, count for visa? How soon before a move should you begin? How can we purchase in Spain from the US and use a mortgage for part of the price? Okay, so you don't have to be married, as long as you can prove you're in an analogous relationship. So as long as you prove that you're connected, then you can apply together. So you basically means that you're sharing your life together effectively. You need to, if you're interested in doing this, you need to start looking at the process as soon as possible for the reasons that I said. As I said before, if you're in the system, it would be honoured. You can't use mortgage for part of the price, though. Okay, so people ask this again. What you're going to look at technically, you need an unencumbered property, a mortgage-free property or commercial property in Spain that's to the value of 500,000. Okay, if you take out a separate loan that's not secured on that property, well, that's a different matter altogether, because they won't look at that. They're not going to do a credit check on you. They're not going to check your income. It's not like it won't. None of that would happen. It would purely be, do you have an unencumbered asset, 500,000 in Spain, in which case you'd qualify as well. It also mentions impact of having a Spanish citizen sibling. Shouldn't make any difference. I did check this out, but it doesn't matter if it's a sibling in Spain. It shouldn't make any difference to the process. We could double check that, but I don't think it would have a bearing. If you already have one over in Spain, I don't think it would make a difference. Can non-lucrative visa be converted to a golden visa? Yes, same as a digital nomad visa. It just be, as long as you buy the property, you have the asset. Then yes, it could easily be changed over. We would do all the paperwork. We could get that sorted for you if you're using us. I'm a British citizen. I have a permanent residency in Denmark, buying a property in Spain for over 500,000. Can I get a golden visa? Yes. So any purchaser mentioned over 500,000 qualifies. Be aware of the taxes. really do be aware of the taxes. I keep saying this only through living here and looking to buy myself at the beginning. The taxes on buying and selling a property, a residential property, are very high. The taxes on renting out a residential property through Airbnb, there are various taxes that can make it really quite expensive. And again, this is why I keep talking about commercial assets. It's certainly a way forward in the early years, I would say. But yes, you can do it. Anything over 500,000 and you qualify, you would have to then apply. If you're doing it yourself, we can't help with the application process, but you can find people that can. Um, Golden visa applications for citizens of Russia and Israel, yeah, they are welcomed. If it doesn't matter where you're from, there might be enhanced due diligence for certain locations, but no, it's no issue in terms of you applying. Not at all. So anybody that's interested for any country, any non-EU country, it's fine. I'm a US citizen legally married to a same-sex spouse. Do we both have to apply for a golden visa and both have to buy 500,000 properties, making a 1 million investment? Okay, so I get this. So people, if it's two people that are married or not married and their spouses, it's not 500,000 each. It's 500,000 between you. We tag you as part of one application. So you can have one application and you can have your spouse on that, you can have your children on that, you can have your parents on that for one 500,000, not for two 500,000, if you know what I mean. But they mentioned here about renting, about mortgaging. So if you want two properties, you need to have one that is unencumbered for 500,000. You can't have one with the equity of the two that add up to 500,000. If you've got a mortgage, you need to have one that's unencumbered for 500,000 or more, and then the other one can have a mortgage on it. Not a problem because you would have already qualified. So yeah, that's all the questions I got. I'm looking at the time. Yeah, okay. So we've run out of time now. It's nearly 8 o'clock here in Spain. As I said before, please feel free to contact me. I'll keep people updated. We'll send the copy of the presentation out, of the webinar out, so you can go back through anything you've not heard. If you want to go into more detail, we can talk in more detail, get about specific opportunities. As I say, it could be in the new year. If it's more urgent than that, then contact me. If you are interested, as I say, please try to do it sooner rather than later, so we can get you into the system. But I hope you found it useful. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, it'd be nice to have you coming over here. And as I say, keep an eye out. I will continue to do presentations and keep people abreast of it. But thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and speak soon. Take care.